James Carter was not a hero. He wasn't rich, famous, or brilliant. He fixed machines for a living in a small repair shop on the edge of New Houston, Earth. Every day, he worked with greasy engines, old wiring, and grumpy customers. He liked quiet days, cold coffee, and the sound of a working engine. His life was simple, and that was how he liked it. One morning, everything changed. He was eating toast when a golden envelope slid through his mail slot. It was strange. People didn't send real mail anymore. He opened it carefully. The paper shimmered with strange letters that shifted into English right before his eyes. Congratulations. You have been selected to represent Earth as our honorary guest in the Galactic Exchange Program. A transport ship will arrive in 24 hours. Please pack lightly. Galactic Unity Office. James stared at the letter, thinking it was a joke. Galactic Exchange. Aliens? Earth had only made contact with the wider galaxy 10 years ago, and nobody had visited from space in his neighborhood. Maybe it was some new marketing trick. But the next day, at exactly noon, the sky above his shop cracked open. A smooth silver ship appeared above the street. It hovered silently, without any noise or smoke. People screamed, took pictures, and ran outside. James just stood there, his toast still in his mouth. A ramp extended, and a tall, glowing blue woman in a uniform stepped out. "James Carter," she said with a smile. "We are honored. Please come with us." He looked around. "Me? You sure you don't mean the James Carter from Dallas? Or the singer?" "No mistake," she replied. Still confused, he grabbed his small travel bag, locked his shop, and followed her into the ship. As the ramp closed, the crowd below waved and cheered, phones flashing. James felt like he had been pulled into a dream. Inside, the ship was clean and full of light. Screens showed stars and strange symbols. The woman offered him a seat and something called a gravity stabilizer. "Your world has been re-added to the galactic map," she explained, "and one human was chosen to visit the capital. You." James laughed. "I fix tractors. Why would anyone pick me?" She looked at him, calm and kind. "Sometimes the galaxy needs a simple soul to remind it what matters." The ship jumped to faster than light speed. Stars became streaks. Earth vanished behind him. James Carter, the simple mechanic, had just left home. For the stars. James Carter sat by the window of the starship, watching lights rush past him like glowing rivers in space. He had never seen anything like it. Earth had stars, sure, but this was like stepping into a dream made of silver and fire. The blue-skinned woman, Commander Rissa, smiled at him. "We'll reach Varelian Prime in 10 minutes. Please prepare for landing." "Landing?" James asked. "Already? Didn't we just leave?" "That's the power of hyperlight travel," she said with a wink. Soon, the ship slowed down. A giant planet appeared outside, bigger than Jupiter, with 3 golden rings spinning around it. Floating cities covered its skies, glowing with colors James had no name for. Ships of all shapes and sizes flew between tall towers. It looked like a mix of science fiction movies, dreams, and magic. James whispered, This is real." Commander Rissa nodded. "Welcome to Varelian Prime, the heart of the galaxy." The ship landed on a shining platform. As the doors opened, a warm breeze touched James's face. It smelled like flowers and rain. A small group of tall, elegant aliens waited for him. They wore long robes and jewelry that sparkled like stars. "Honored human," said the tallest one, with silver eyes and 6 fingers. "We greet you in peace. I am Soren Vel, Speaker of the Council." James stepped forward slowly, his hands in his pockets. Hi, I'm James Carter. I fix engines." The group exchanged confused looks, then chuckled politely. "You are humble," Soren Vel said. "That is rare here." James was taken on a grand tour. Floating cars carried him across bridges made of light. Robots offered him drinks in glass bubbles. Alien children waved at him, laughing as their feet hovered above the ground. He was shown museums with living paintings, restaurants where the food changed flavor every bite, and forests that sang when the wind blew. At first, James was amazed, but slowly he began to notice something odd. People smiled, but their eyes looked tired. The city was beautiful, but too perfect, like it was hiding something. No one laughed like people did back on Earth. Everything was advanced, but also cold. He asked Commander Rissa about it. She looked out the window and said, "This world has had peace for a long time. But peace can become routine. Beauty can become a mask." James didn't fully understand, but he felt it too. Something was missing here, something real. That night, he was given a fancy room with a view of the stars. As he lay on a bed that adjusted to his body perfectly, he thought about his old repair shop. The smell of oil, the sound of tools, the taste of real coffee. He didn't know it yet, but his presence was already shaking things in the galaxy. Far above, someone watched him from a hidden chamber. A soft voice whispered, "So, he has arrived." The next morning, James Carter was woken up by soft music coming from the walls. A robotic voice said, "Honored guest, you are invited to attend the royal court today. Please dress appropriately." James rubbed his eyes. "Royal court? You mean like kings and queens?" The robot nodded. A sleek, silver box opened beside his bed, revealing clothes, soft black pants, a dark red coat with gold trim, and polished boots. He dressed slowly, feeling awkward. Back home, he wore jeans and old t-shirts. This outfit made him look like a space prince. A hovercar picked him up and flew him to the royal palace. The palace floated in the clouds, shining like a giant crystal. It had towers shaped like flowers, bridges made of light, and waterfalls that flowed upward. Hundreds of alien leaders from across the galaxy had gathered there. They wore bright clothes, feathers, metal, and lights. Some had 4 arms, others floated without legs. Everyone was talking in many languages, but small devices on their collars translated everything. James stood at the edge of the grand hall, feeling out of place. He looked around for someone familiar, but no one paid him much attention. After all, he was just a human. A loud sound echoed through the hall. Everyone turned toward a grand staircase made of glowing stone. She appeared, Queen Cerelia of the Aurelian Dominion. Tall and graceful, she wore a flowing white dress that sparkled like 1,000 stars. Her skin was smooth gold, her eyes deep violet, and her long hair floated as if carried by wind. She didn't walk, she glided. Every leader in the room bowed their heads. Even the proudest warriors stayed silent. But as she looked around, her eyes stopped on one person. James. He blinked. "Oh no," he whispered. "Why is she looking at me?" She glided straight toward him. The room became silent. Everyone stared. Queen Cerelia stopped in front of James and held out her hand. "This man," she said loudly, her voice calm and clear, "is my mate." The hall went completely silent. Every leader, every guard, every translator froze. James coughed. What?" The queen smiled gently. "I have chosen. Before the stars and the empires, I name him my mate." James looked around. "You mean me? Are you sure?" Whispers thread like fire. "The queen has never chosen anyone. A human. Impossible." This must be a trick. James wanted to run. He wasn't ready for this. He was a mechanic, not some prince. But Queen Cerelia held his gaze with calm strength. There was something in her eyes, something serious and powerful. In that moment, James realized one thing. Nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same again. The queen's words echoed in the hall like thunder. "This man is my mate." James Carter stood frozen. He could feel hundreds of eyes on him. Some shocked, some angry, some confused. A few even looked afraid. He whispered to himself, "I think I'm in trouble." Queen Cerelia turned to face the crowd. As ruler of the Aurelian Dominion, I have the right to choose a mate. I have chosen James Carter of Earth. Gasps filled the air. An alien leader with green skin and 4 glowing eyes stepped forward. With respect, Your Highness, he is a human, a primitive species. Another, tall and bird-like, added, Earth has only just joined the galaxy. This is unheard of. Voices rose in anger and disbelief. Some shouted in alien tongues. The royal guards placed their hands on their weapons. The air grew tense. James raised one hand. Okay, maybe I should explain. I didn't ask for this. I just came here because I won a lottery thing. I fix engines. I'm just a guy from Earth. But Queen Cerelia didn't look away. That is exactly why I chose you. The hall grew quiet again. She continued, the galaxy has grown too proud, too cold. We worship power, not heart. We choose mates for status, not for truth. But this man, he is honest. He is simple. He is real. That is what this galaxy needs. Some nodded, unsure. Others looked offended. Soren Vel, the Speaker of the Council, stepped forward. Queen Cerelia, you are loved and respected. But this decision could cause war. Many noble houses have waited years for you to choose from among them. I am not a prize, Cerelia said, and I will not choose a lie. James scratched his head. Look, if this is going to cause a war or something, maybe I should just go home. Cerelia looked at him with a soft smile. You can, if you wish. I will not force you. But if you stay, everything will change. James looked into her eyes. They weren't cold like the others. They were full of feeling, like she had waited a long time to say those words. He took a deep breath. I'll stay. But I still don't understand any of this. The Queen placed her hand gently on his shoulder. You will. In time. Far above the royal court, in the dark corners of the galaxy, powerful leaders and enemies watched the scene unfold. Some were furious. Some were afraid. And some began to whisper a new word, a word not heard for many years. Human. After the storm in the royal court, James Carter found himself in a golden room high above the city. Guards stood outside. The door was locked, but it wasn't a prison. It was a guest chamber. Soft bed, beautiful view, glowing walls. Still, it felt more like a cage than a gift. James sat on the bed, staring out at the stars. What just happened to my life? He muttered. The door slid open. Queen Cerelia entered, calm and graceful as ever. She wore a simpler robe now, her hair tied back. Without the royal glow and guards, she looked more human. Are you angry? She asked gently. James shook his head. I'm not angry, just confused. I came here for a vacation. Now I'm your mate, and the whole galaxy hates me. They do not hate you, she said. They fear change, and you, James Carter, are change. He laughed. Me? I fix engines. I can barely fix my own toaster. Cerelia sat beside him. That's why I chose you. You are not like them. You are not blinded by power, wealth, or control. James looked into her eyes. Why now? Why me? She took a deep breath. Because something dark is coming. I've seen it. James frowned. Seen it. Like a dream. No, she said. I am a seer. I was born with a rare gift. I can see pieces of possible futures. Most are foggy. But in every future where the galaxy survives, you are there. James blinked. Me? What am I doing? Standing at my side, she said. Not as a warrior, not as a king, but as a light in the storm. James rubbed his face. I think you picked the wrong guy. I don't have powers. I don't know politics. I don't even like crowds. She smiled. That's exactly why you're right. You're grounded, honest, real. In a galaxy full of masks, you are yourself. The palace shook as alarms screamed through the shining halls. Red lights flashed on the walls. The soft music that once played in the royal chambers was replaced by the sound of running boots and urgent voices. James Carter pressed his back against the wall, his heart racing. This doesn't feel like a normal welcome party. Queen Cerelia stood calmly beside him, her eyes focused, glowing faintly violet. She tapped a small crystal on her wrist. A clear map of the palace appeared in the air in front of them. Blinking red dots moved quickly toward their location. "Assassins," she said. "They've breached the eastern gate. Someone inside helped them." James felt a chill. "They're here for you." "No," she said. "They're here for you." His eyes widened. "Me? But I'm just a mechanic." She placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "That's why you're dangerous. You're not part of their system. You can't be bought. And you weren't raised in their games. That makes you unpredictable." Suddenly, the door exploded inward with a flash of blue light. 3 figures stepped into the room, dressed in black armor. Their eyes glowed red beneath their masks. They moved like shadows, fast, silent, deadly. Before James could speak, Cerelia moved. In a single breath, she raised her hands. A wave of energy burst from her palms, sending 2 of the assassins crashing into the wall. The third one leaped over her, heading straight for James. James ducked just in time. He grabbed a metal vase and swung it hard, hitting the assassin's helmet. It cracked, and the attacker stumbled back. "I can't believe that worked," James muttered. Cerelia finished the rest with swift, graceful movements. She was like a storm, elegant but powerful. When it was over, all 3 assassins lay unconscious on the floor. James looked around, breathing heavily. "So, does this happen every time someone gets chosen as your mate?" Cerelia gave a small smile. "No, only when the choice matters." More guards rushed in. They checked the bodies, then saluted the queen. "Take them to the deep cells," she ordered. "No questions asked." The guards obeyed without hesitation. As calm returned to the room, Cerelia turned to James. "This was only the beginning. Whoever sent them will not stop. They fear the change you bring." James rubbed the back of his neck. "I don't feel like a hero. I feel like a guy who almost got stabbed." She nodded. "That's how heroes often start." He looked at her seriously. "You still want me in this, even if people die because of me?" Cerelia met his eyes. "I didn't choose you for your strength, James. I chose you because your heart is strong, and that strength will soon be tested." Outside the window, dark ships moved silently among the stars, waiting, watching, preparing. James Carter sat quietly in the Queen's private garden. Flowers glowed in soft colors around him, and tiny floating insects danced in the warm air. It was peaceful, but James couldn't relax. His thoughts were full of questions. Why were people trying to kill him? How could he be important to a galaxy full of aliens, powers, and secrets? He was just a guy from Earth. Queen Cerelia entered the garden, her steps light but purposeful. She wore a simple robe today, not the shining dress of a ruler. To James, she looked more like a friend than a queen. "You're quiet," she said. "I'm thinking," James replied. "Back home, the worst thing I had to worry about was a broken air conditioner. Now I'm dodging assassins and being called a galactic threat." Cerelia sat beside him. "I know it's a lot, but sometimes the ones who change the world are the ones who never expected to." James looked up. "Can you tell me more about the danger we're in?" Cerelia nodded. "There is a group called the Zorak Coalition. They rule parts of the Outer Ring. Long ago, they tried to take control of the Dominion. I stopped them. Since then, they've waited for their chance to rise again. And now, I'm their excuse." James asked. "Yes," she said. "You're a symbol. If the Queen chooses an outsider, a human, it breaks tradition. That weakens the old powers. The Zorak want chaos. If they can turn the council against us, they can return. James sighed. Why do people hate change so much? Because change means losing control, Cerelia said. And control is what they love most. Suddenly, a small flying orb buzzed into the garden. It blinked red and hovered in front of the queen. She touched it. A hologram appeared. It was Soren Vel, the Speaker of the Council. His face looked serious. Your Highness, he said, we have captured someone trying to leave the palace with a map of your travel plans. He claims to be from Earth. James stood up fast. From Earth? That's impossible. Cerelia's face darkened. Unless Earth is no longer as peaceful as we thought. She looked at the orb again. Send him to the inner chamber. I'll question him myself. The hologram faded. James clenched his fists. I don't know who it could be. I didn't tell anyone about this trip. I don't even have family. We'll find out, Cerelia said. But this proves the danger is growing. The enemy is no longer in the shadows. They are reaching into the heart of the palace. James nodded slowly. Then I guess it's time I stop thinking like a guest and start acting like someone who belongs here. Cerelia smiled. Then walk with me, James Carter of Earth. The future begins now. And together, they stepped into the palace, toward the truth and whatever waited next. In the palace's inner chamber, the lights were dim and cold. The walls were made of dark stone, and the air felt heavy. This was not a place for comfort. It was a place for truth. James Carter stood beside Queen Cerelia as the guards brought in the prisoner. He wore a dark gray suit, dusty and torn from travel. His face was pale, but his eyes were sharp and alert. James gasped when he saw him. Wait a minute. I know this guy. The man raised an eyebrow. Hello, James. Long time no see. Cerelia's eyes narrowed. You know him? James nodded slowly. His name is Dr. Elias Ward. He was a scientist back on Earth, worked for a space tech company. We met during a job I had fixing engine prototypes. He always said Earth shouldn't join the Galactic Union. Elias gave a slight smile. And I was right. Cerelia stepped forward. You were caught stealing my travel routes. You were working with the assassins. Why? Elias looked at her without fear. Because Earth is in danger. And it's your fault. James frowned. What are you talking about? You think this is some fairy tale, James. Elias said. The Queen chooses a random human as her mate, and suddenly Earth is famous across the stars. The truth is, we're not ready for this. The aliens don't want us to rise. They fear us. You've made us a target. Cerelia spoke calmly. No one fears Earth's strength. They fear its heart, its honesty. That is what threatens the old powers. Elias shook his head. That's what you believe. But I've seen the other side. They're already planning to attack Earth. The Zorak Coalition sent ships near Mars last week. I had to come here. I had to stop this before it became war. James stared. You betrayed the Queen to protect Earth. I did what had to be done. Elias said. You think love is enough to stop armies. You're being used, James. Cerelia raised her hand, and the guards moved forward. Take him to the high tower. He will be questioned further. Elias didn't resist. As the guards led him away, he looked over his shoulder. Don't trust her, James. You're just a piece in her game. The doors closed, and silence filled the chamber. James rubbed his face. This just keeps getting more complicated. Cerelia looked at him gently. You must decide, James. Do you still believe in me? In us? He looked at her, at the stars beyond the glass walls, and at the path ahead. I believe, he said, but I also believe we need to protect Earth. She nodded. Then we prepare for what's coming. Outside the palace, storm clouds gathered above the city. Ships moved into position. The galaxy was watching, and the real war had just begun. The palace was no longer just a place of beauty. It had become a fortress. Soldiers and guards moved through the halls like rivers of steel and light. Everyone was preparing for something big, something dangerous. James Carter stood with Queen Cerelia on a high balcony overlooking the city. The stars were bright, but a dark shadow seemed to stretch across the galaxy. Ships from the Zorak coalition were gathering, ready for war. James clenched his fists. I never thought I'd be standing here, looking at a war in space. Back home, the biggest fight I had was with my old car. Cerelia smiled softly. That was before. Now you are part of something much bigger. She pointed to a large hologram floating between them. It showed star systems, fleets, and paths of possible battles. Our allies are few, she said. Many fear the Zorak. But some believe in the future we can build, one of peace and honesty. James studied the map. How do we fight a war with so few friends? We don't just fight with weapons, Cerelia said. We fight with trust, with courage. That is what makes us strong. James looked at her, feeling the weight of responsibility. Suddenly, a message arrived. A fast ship landed nearby. A young woman stepped out, carrying a message. She ran up to them, breathless. Your Highness, James Carter, she said, this just came from Earth Command. James took the glowing tablet. The message was clear. Earth had detected Zorak ships moving closer to the solar system. Earth was preparing its own defenses, but time was short. James looked up. Earth is ready to fight, but they need help. Cerelia nodded. And we will give it. This is not just a battle for the galaxy. It is a battle for Earth's future. She turned to James. Are you ready to lead? James felt fear, but also determination. I don't have a sword or a starship, but I have people who believe in me, and I believe in us. Cerelia smiled with pride. That is all we need. The Queen stepped forward, raising her hand. A bright light spread through the city, a signal of hope and strength. James took a deep breath. He was no longer just a visitor or a mechanic. He was a leader, and the fate of millions rested on his shoulders. As night fell, ships soared into the dark sky. The stars seemed to shine brighter, as if cheering for the courage of one man and the most beautiful queen of the galaxy. The sky above the capital was alive with stars and ships. The battle was near, but for the first time in many days, the palace felt calm. Queen Cerelia stood beside James Carter on the highest tower, looking out at the galaxy they were about to protect. James took a deep breath. I never thought I'd be part of something like this, but now I know why you chose me. Cerelia smiled softly. Because you remind us all what it means to be human, strong, honest, and brave. Suddenly, the alarm sounded. Outside, the fleet was preparing to face the enemy. The Zorak coalition ships appeared on the horizon, dark and menacing. James tightened his grip on Cerelia's hand. We can do this. Together. The first wave of ships collided in space. Lasers flashed, engines roared, and stars exploded like fireworks. But James's mind was calm. He wasn't a soldier, but he believed in the strength of his new family. The people fighting beside him. On the command bridge, Cerelia's voice was steady. Hold the line. Protect the planets. We fight for peace. James watched the battle unfold through the viewport. The enemy was strong, but the defenders were stronger. Earth's ships fought bravely alongside the Aurelian fleet. Old rivals became allies. Fear turned into hope. Hours passed like minutes. The battle raged. Then, slowly, the tide began to turn. The Zorak ships, once confident, started to retreat. James smiled, feeling a surge of hope. We're winning. But Cerelia's eyes remained sharp. This is only the beginning. There will be more battles, more challenges. After the fight, a great ceremony was held in the palace gardens. The leaders of many worlds gathered to celebrate unity and courage. James stood beside Cerelia as the crowd cheered. Cerelia spoke to the galaxy. This victory is not mine alone. It belongs to all who dared to believe in change. Together, We will build a future where truth and heart guide us." James looked around at the faces, alien and human alike. They were smiling, hopeful. He felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Cerelia. "This is our new dawn." James nodded. "And I'm proud to stand with you, my queen, my mate." The crowd fell silent for a moment, then erupted in applause. The most beautiful queen of the galaxy had chosen her mate, and together they had changed the stars forever.